The following thoughts on Happy Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you.
Are you feeling classy today? Sit down, pour a glass of wine, and listen to Happy Hour.
You're tuned in to Happy Hour, an hour where Happy rants about something. Sit back and listen in. Happy Hour is on now. Happy Hour is on now.
What up? What is happening? This is Happy Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And the man that is sitting in the same room who is about to be a guest on Happy Hour, I can't believe even agreed to sit in on this great podcast. You know him as the co-host of Drew Garabo Live on 102.5 The Bone. Soul Brother Kevin, a.k.a. SBK, is here. What's up, dude?
Man, that was a pretty good introduction.
Hell yeah, dude. How honored are you to be sitting in a production room at the Cox Media Building at 12:30 in the afternoon with Ryan Hoppe?
I'm honored?
Yeah, how honored are you?
Okay, how honored. Okay, yeah, I know how to play this game. Oh, man, it's an honor to be on Happy Hour.
It's a dream.
It is a dream come true, man. What's going on with you, Hoppe?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, I got to work a promotions event last night, so that was pretty badass. I got to see Van Halen. Badass to the fact that I'm not even that big of a Van Halen fan, and I had a fun time. I mean,
is that your real name, Hoppe?
Yeah, it's Ryan Hoppe.
So how'd you come up with Happy Hour? Is it because that's your last name?
Yeah.
And you do the show for an hour?
And I've wanted to do the name for a while now. And the best part is people will bitch me, oh, your show is not even an hour. It's like, shut up. Because sometimes when I record it late at night, because the thing is, I work pizza 5 to 11, and the rooms are being used here during the day.
Whoa. You work pizza? What do you mean you work pizza?
I deliver pizza. That's what I meant.
So if I ordered a pizza in the St. Pete area, you might deliver my pizza?
It wouldn't be here because it's on the south side part of St. Pete.
Okay. Do you interview people when you bring them the pizza?
No.
Like, you should just give them the pizza and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And then just put the mic in their face and see what they talk about.
It's not a bad idea. I didn't think about that. Yeah, usually I'm more focused on trying to get a tip because there are certain parts of towns that don't like tipping.
So we're trying to say black people don't tip, right?
I'm not trying to say
if it's a black person, you're like, oh, man, I ain't taking that pizza.
No.
I'm going to make sure your pizza cold.
It's just...
Hoppe don't play that.
It's just that part of town anybody doesn't tip.
What part of town are you talking?
When you keep going down Martin Luther King Drive.
Oh, okay. So it's Martin Luther King's fault.
You're putting words in my mouth.
I just moved to Martin Luther King Boulevard, for real.
You serious?
Yeah.
I thought you lived in Orlando.
I do, but I'm moving here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm moving to Ybor City.
Oh, nice. Get turned up every night with those maniacs over there. That place has quite the vibe, Kevin. I can't describe.
I hear people get stabbed over there.
Oh, I know. I mean, I went there for a Pete Davidson show about 6-7 weeks ago, and it was one of those like things where I go, do I want to drink a beer and watch like a Rays game, or do I want to go back to my place in St. Pete? And I chose the second option.
You look like a Pete Davidson fan.
Oh, I love Pete Davidson. I'm trying to go to the Oddball Comedy Show on August 3rd, dude. That lineup is legit.
Who's going to be there?
Amy Schumer, Anthony Jeselnik, Jeff Ross, TJ Miller, and then Aziz Ansari.
Oh, man.
Dude, you got to go. It's at the amphitheater, dude.
I can't do it. I don't like comedians.
You don't?
Out of all those people you name, people I want to see is Amy Schumer.
Why don't you like comedians?
I just don't. I just don't. I don't feel the need to pay money to have people make me laugh.
See,
you don't think that's sad?
I guess I never thought about it that way.
Like, you so miserable in your life that you need somebody to make you laugh. Like, okay, I'm going to go see this guy because he's going to make me laugh. That's sad.
I never thought about it that way.
I have done stand-up comedy before.
I can see that.
Whenever I was on stage, I felt sorry for the people in the crowd.
Why? I mean, you're making them laugh. You're making their day.
Well, if I'm not making them laugh, then I really feel sorry for them because they desperately need some entertainment.
I never thought about it that way. Like, you're so bored in your life. Like, when I saw Pete Davidson, I went by myself. I was bored. I'm like, why not see Pete Davidson? And he made my night. That is such a valid point.
I think strip clubs are sad, too.
I hate strip clubs,
Oh,
dude.
wait, but I wouldn't say I hate them.
No, I hate them
but I don't like the game.
You overpay for a weak lap dance. The girls don't look happy. And then
You're going to the wrong one. Which strip club have you been to? Which one do you like?
I'm not going to say the names, but they're not the nicest scale ones.
Oh, you like the ghetto? You like the gutter strip clubs? Huh? You like with the big booty black girls? You like the really aggressive black girls? That's what you down with, Hoppe. That's cool, man.
No.
I can rock with that.
Well, here's the thing.
Me and you need to go to the strip club.
We do. Everybody from Drew Garavo's show get turned up after a brunch. You know what I mean?
All right, man. I'm not trying to derail your interview anymore.
No, dude, this is a
I
conversation.
see you got questions.
Oh, I do.
Pressing questions.
Like this one. Where did you grow up as a kid, soul brother Kevin?
Oh, I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, man.
What's it like growing up in Florida? Because I hear that there's not a lot of like culture here, and it's more of a transplant area.
Well, the bigger cities are. But, you know, I grew up like in the backyard of Florida State, so there's a lot of Seminoles football. I went to FAMU, which was across town, which was a lot of, so there's a lot of football in my upbringing, a lot of backyard barbecuing, fish fries, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're a big fan of barbecuing food. Would you say you're like a foodie?
I am a foodie, but I am a barbecue pit master in training.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you ever master it, but I'm barbecuing all the time. Like, there was a time in my life, like in the last 6 months, a year or so, where I would go to work on the midday show. I would put something on my smoker, go to work, leave it on the smoker, and come back home and finish it. I would do it every day.
Who would watch it? Your girl?
No, nobody watched it, man.
Really?
I had it set.
Wow, you are the pimp of this, dude.
Yeah, dude, I can throw down some barbecue. If I wasn't in radio, I'd be doing barbecue full time.
I could see you being your own host of a show on like the Food Network with your personality.
Oh, that would be awesome. I probably cut my fingers off. I'm not good with a knife.
What's your favorite thing to barbecue?
That is a good question. I would have to say ribs.
Ribs?
Barbecue ribs. You like ribs?
Oh, I love ribs, dude.
Really?
Oh, I love ribs.
All right, we got to go get some ribs.
Hell yeah.
And then we'll go to strip club. Yeah. And then we'll let the strippers suck the sauce off our bones.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Yeah, I was. I meant that. That's what I meant.
What were some of the best parts about growing up in Tallahassee? Like, besides like football, were there other parts of the town that made it fun?
Man, in Tallahassee, you know, with having Florida State and FAMU, a lot of your whole upbringing is around it. My parents both went to FAMU, so I was going to every FAMU home game since I was like 2 years old. There was a time between the ages of 2 and 18.
Yeah.
I never missed a game. I remember the first time I missed a game. So that was like a big deal because Tallahassee is a kind of small place. If you take the colleges out, you got nothing. Even though it's a state, capital of the state, you know, you get like most people work government jobs. My parents were, my mom was a teacher. My dad was a postman. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I had the same group of friends growing up too. So I was lucky that I got to stay in one place. That was cool. But I had to get the hell out of Tallahassee.
Why? What was wrong with Tallahassee?
Too small.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in a bigger city. I wanted to have more opportunities, you know, to do stuff. You know, Tallahassee's like, if you want to be on the radio, it's like market 157. Like, that's not happening.
But couldn't you make a mark there since it's such a small town?
You probably could, but I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in leaving as soon as I could leave.
What was your dream town that you wanted to work in? Like, what was one where you're like, that's my spot?
As far as radio or just in general?
Both.
New York City, man.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's it.
That. Yeah.
I mean, I love New York City, but I mean, why wouldn't you want to work in New York City?
Yeah. Did you ever have a chance to?
Nope. Nope. I've never had a chance. I can't say I really tried. I hear it's like a club, you know, it's like you got to know somebody. And they don't take too kindly to Southerners.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have an accent until I went up there.
Oh, really?
You know what I'm saying? Once you go to New York, then they're like, where are you from? You don't talk like us. You got to know somebody.
Everyone can tell that I'm from the Midwest with my Chicago accent. Especially
is
when
that what you call it?
Yeah. A Midwest accent, whatever it is.
I thought you were from Cleveland.
I worked in Cleveland for 5 months, and I was from Chicago for 21 years. So now I'm 22. So basically my whole life was Chicago.
How did you get here from Chicago?
All right. I got hired by Rover's Morning Glory in November. I began in January. Me and the show went separate ways. And
we've all got fired, man.
Yeah, but...
except for me. I've never gotten fired.
You've never been fired?
Well, technically, if you consider... I've been on shows that have ended.
Yeah.
But I didn't get fired, so to speak.
What about...
Would you consider that I got fired from the midday show here on The Bone? Was that fired?
No, because you got the gig here.
Right. So
to me, that's not fired. I think the closest to you getting fired was when you left Russ Rollins.
No, hell no.
Why?
Rewind that.
All right, I'll grab the VHS rewind. Why?
Okay. How would I get fired? I put in a 2-week notice and left.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh.
My bad.
Well, where'd you get the inkling that I got fired?
Radio forums.
Radio forums said I got fired. Wow. Radio forums don't know shit. Can you cuss on this thing here?
Oh,
well, let's get some cussing going. Listen. They don't know shit on radio forums.
They're imbeciles.
I did not get fired.
Yeah.
And if you want to know what happened, get to your real radio questions, and
All right.
I'm gonna let you. I'm not gonna try to hijack.
It's all good.
All right.
We will get to the whole real radio.
All right.
Your whole era. We got a lot to get to. But where did you get your first foot in the door?
Well, there we go. Real radio.
Oh, it was that real radio?
Now, I've talked to you off air about this and to E-Rock, a.k.a. Eric Nagel from Opie and Jimmy. And you guys know each other from the past working around the Real Radio brand, so tell us about that.
I knew him. He was, I don't know what he did, but I met him right around the time, right before he went on to work with Opie and Anthony.
Okay.
He was working in West Palm Beach, right?
Yes.
That's how I knew him, because we were on the same station that he was on with the Love Doctors and Josh Cohen and the Home Team and all of those people. He was a producer down there, and we had a couple events, and him and I were cool because I'd see him at station events.
Yeah.
But I was an intern. I wasn't in promotion. I don't think he ever worked at Real Radio.
I think he worked at the one in West Palm Beach because he remembers hearing Drew get syndicated.
That's the deal. He worked down there when they were syndicated, but we didn't work in the same office or same. But I was in Orlando, he was in West Palm. So I guess, yes, we worked together, but I was never in promotions. I always just tried to be on air. I didn't want to go promotions because I figured if you go promotions, they'll see you as a promotions guy and not as an on-air talent. I was an intern.
You were?
Yeah, I was an intern for 2.5 years.
What's that like? Because I've been an intern at a few places, and it's just one of those things where every single day you give it your all.
You do. The game's changed now. When I was an intern, we'd sit around waiting for something to do, looking for stuff to do. We just like produce shit, try to give it to the host, try to come up with ideas and shit to do. And now the interns are just like, I'm here. Let me rock the mic. Where's my money? Give me a gig. You're like, they don't want to work for it. They don't want to put in the time. They just want to just rock the mic.
That's what gets me so mad is you hear these lawsuits. Like some girl sued Howard. She's like, oh, they made me work hard. Or all these girls are suing Mary-Kate and Ashley's company. Oh, they made me work hard. It's like, yes, it's called an internship. You do the bitch work, but you get a foot in the door and a reference.
It's the only way you get in the door in radio.
Yes.
We don't put ads in the paper going, funny people. We need some funny people.
Come on by, wait in the line and try out.
I wish they would do that sometime. Hey, we need funny people. Just to see people line up. It'll be like American Idol audition.
Actually, think about it. We would probably just get Avo.
You would get. That's what you would get. Hey, man, Avo, that's my homeboy.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, he's fine to me, too. I mean, he just...
I don't like how people be hating on Avo, man.
What is it about Avocado Rocker that you're a fan of?
I like to root for the underdog. And he is an underdog.
To me, Medicine Man's an underdog.
He's an underdog, too.
But he's a badass when it comes to it. Like, I was talking to him.
Don't take no medicine from that dude.
Oh, yeah. He was in like 10 beers, and it was like 5:30 p.m. at the Van Halen concert, like the pregame. And I think he was on some more things.
But that is a side note, and SBK is here, so let's learn more about him.
Now, who were some of the mentors that helped you get your foot in the door in real radio?
Drew Garabo.
Really?
Russ Rollins. Yes, all of those guys. Okay, so here's the deal. I was a listener to the Monsters, at that time, the Monsters in the Midday.
Yes.
Right? All right. I would go to the events. I would hang out. I would make myself visible.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, let's say they're at a tent making an appearance.
Yeah.
Your typical radio station appearance. I would walk up, hey, how y'all doing? Love the show, that kind of thing. I'm Kevin, and then leave. Even if I was there for 5 minutes, I would let them see me all the time. But I never got annoying. I never got in their face. I never asked them for anything.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be familiar. I wanted them to be like, oh, yeah, that's Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
You know the kind of fan that you like. I like those kind of fans. They come up, hey, what's up? Shake your hand, and then they keep on moving. Maybe an occasional picture, or maybe they got some insight or something. Yeah. But they're not like hounding you.
What did you do where Drew finally saw something in you and Ross? Like, what was that move you did?
What happened was Jeff Howell and Bubba Whoop-Ass Wilson, the two artists, the musicians on the show, used to have standing gigs at a bar called T's and Q's.
Oh, nice.
And what every Friday night they used to perform. So what I did was I would go to their performances every Friday night. Especially, I'd listen to the show, and I'd hear Russ go, I'm going to be at T's and Q's this weekend. I hear Savannah say, yeah, I'm going to be at T's and Q's. And I go, okay, I'm going to go. And I'm going to try to get on stage with Jeff and Bubba and sing a song or do something funny so I could get these guys' attention and they'll know who I am. So that's what I started doing. I started working the crowd, and then the crowd started knowing who I was. Yeah. And I go to the events, and they start chanting, SBK,
really?
SBK. And then Russ and all those guys were like, who's this guy? Oh, that's that guy that we see all the time. Oh, yeah. So then after I got to know him, I got myself, let's say I had a job and we decided to part ways. Are you familiar with that? I got fired from a very good job.
Yeah.
And I called Drew's show one day.
Yeah.
And I said, Drew, man, I'd love to see you do your show, like watch you do your show. And he goes, hey, come up anytime. So I sent him an email. Hey, let me come up. I came up. I watched his show. And at the end of the show, I said, Drew, man, I'm thinking about going to Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Yeah.
And it's like $3,000. I've been saving up my money. I got $3,000. I'm going to go pay and learn radio. And he said, you don't have to do that, man. Russ, those guys know who you are. Why don't you just get an internship with them? So I was like, okay, kept my $3,000 in my pocket, sent Russ an email, told him I wanted to be an intern. He was like, hell yeah, we'd love to have you. And then boom, I got an internship.
And then would they let you go on air and do some bits for the shows? Like,
dude, I started on September 10th in 2001, the day before 9/11. The day before 9/11 is when I started.
Wow.
9/11 came the next day. I was on the air giving them updates on what was happening.
Holy crap.
I made a bad joke about Aaliyah because her plane had crashed the week before, and I kind of linked them together. Anyway, it was a horrible. But you got to take chances, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was a bad chance I took. And then I had my first internship. All they talked about was 9/11 for like the first month or two.
Yeah.
My internship was ending, and I was like, well, I'm not a star.
Yeah.
I wasn't a hit. I didn't have really enough. I didn't get on the mic that much except for like about bad stuff, you know. And then I signed up for a second internship, and the 9/11 talk went down. Bubba went into rehab. Then I got in the studio, and I was on the mic, and then boom, I got a job offer.
What's that like when you get the job offer? What's the first feeling?
Well, it was good, but it was bad because it wasn't from the Monsters.
What was it from?
It was from a radio station that they were syndicated to down in Fort Myers.
Okay.
105.5 The Beat, a hip-hop station. See, so what happened was after I'd been on the Monsters for a while, a couple of the affiliates they had heard me on the air, and Savannah had this appearance at a fireworks store.
Okay.
And I came down with her, and they were promoting that I was coming down to the fireworks store. So I got a call from the Hip Hop Morning Show, and they were like, hey, man, we're big fans of USBK. We want you to come and be on the morning show and hang out with us. And I'm like an intern getting called to be on a morning show, you know. So I go down there. I'm a hit on the morning show. And then a couple of days later, I get a call from their program director, and he's like, we want you to do nights for us. And I'm like, what?
Really?
Hell yeah. So I went down to Fort Myers and I did nights for 3 years. But before that, I was getting offers and appearances as an intern. Like I was getting paid appearances and shit. And they were like, hey, we can't do that. We can't give an intern paid appearances. There's people that work here that don't get paid appearances. Well, what's happening? So I had the operations manager, Chris Campmeyer. He called me in office and he said, hey, man, I love what you do. You fit great with the Monsters. You do your thing, but we're not going to pay you now or no time in the future. So you can either work for free or you can go home.
Which one did you choose?
I worked for free, but then I got this offer from 105.5 The Beat in Fort Myers like 2 weeks later. Yeah. But that's the one thing that lit a fire under me in my career right there. When that guy told me, we'll never pay you.
Yeah.
You can do it or go home. I remembered that. Every time I see him, every time somebody says his name,
Venom.
all I could remember was, you told me you would never pay me.
How much talking time did they give you at 105.5 The Beat, or was it just like talk set, music, or would they give you talk breaks?
That was the problem.
Yeah.
The problem was I was trying to do talk radio on a music radio station.
Never works.
My boss told me, it worked for me. My boss told me, hey, Kevin, you're not the star. The music's the star. And I go, we'll see about that. And I went from playing 10 songs an hour to playing 6 songs an hour. He took the music away and they let me talk. And I had phoners, I had games, I had bits,
cool.
I had interviews, I had free reign to take music off the air. Man, I would play a song sometime, didn't like the song halfway through it, I'd turn it off and go, sorry about that, let's get crunk.
Are you serious?
Because we was getting crunk back then.
Was this like Lil Jon in that back then?
This was when that was hot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we were getting crunk, man. It was crazy. I had like 5 standing club appearances a week, Monday through Friday. This is when the 8 Mile stuff was popping. I was doing like rap battles. I was doing all kind of crazy shit.
Was this one of your favorite times of your life in radio?
Yeah. Looking back on it, it was probably the most exposure I ever had, even though it was a smaller market. You know, in smaller markets, the radio stations are even more important because they don't have anything else going on. People, like, if we had an event, it was packed.
Would they come up to you and be like, are you SBK, and ask for pictures?
Everywhere. I ate free everywhere. I'd never paid for anything. Sometimes I would be sitting at a bar. I remember one time I was sitting at a bar in Fort Myers. I was paid to be at this bar for 2 hours. And the guy in the bar across the street goes, hey, man, when you're done with this appearance, I want to pay you to come over to my bar.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so I'll be like, hey, okay, you get on the mic in your bar and tell everybody I'll be over there in 2 hours. And I would literally walk across the street to another bar and pick up another check just for sitting there drinking.
How much poon would you slay back then being SBK on 105.5 The Beat?
Well, you know, I was a single man back then.
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
It was different. It was a different time. I would, let's just say I had my fair share.
What was your go-to way to pick up?
Most of the women, what's that?
What was your go-to way to pick up the ladies?
Oh, man. Well, that's the good thing about being on the radio back then. You don't have to break the ice if people know who you are.
Yeah.
If you go somewhere, you know, you're on the mic, you hosting a party. See, there was a lot of it. I was on stage hosting parties like, what's up, yo? Throwing prizes out, giving out cash. So I didn't have to say, hey, I'm SBK, because the girls knew because I was already there. You know,
ooh, watch out, Mr. Celebrity over here.
That's how it was back then, but I had to get out of that lifestyle, man.
Why did you have to get out of it? What was it about?
You can't party. You can only burn the candle at both ends for so long, man. You can't party every night. You can't get drunk every night.
You get fat. You get out of shape. I mean, it's drinking. There's so many calories in alcohol. You don't realize it until you drink all the time.
Man.
And hangovers. And
it got so bad. Well, it got to the point where I was drinking 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, I was just resting up.
That's how
horrible.
it was for me in Cleveland. You would just go have fun on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday you just lay around all day and play Xbox.
Well, I had 5 gigs. I had a gig Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday night, I'd say, oh, I'm off tonight. But all of my friends were DJs.
Really?
And where were they? They were at the club. So I'd go hang out with them. And then I'd be sitting there in the DJ booth hanging out. And then the owner of the club would go, hey, man, I'll give you $300 just to get on the mic and say what's up to everybody. And just like, I'd be like, okay, cool. And then it's like I'm working again.
How much cash was given to you under the table at some of these gigs?
It wasn't. Well, that's an example. I wouldn't consider it under the table. The guy gave, hey, I'll give you $300.
Yeah.
You do that. You know, there you go. I don't consider that under the table.
Yeah.
It was over the table.
That's true.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing that ever happened at one of these events while you were at the Beat?
Okay. There was a morning show called The Freak Show with Flying Brian.
Okay.
And he was from, I don't know where he was from. I think he was from Boston.
Okay.
There was a Super Bowl where it was Carolina versus the Carolina versus New England.
I think that was 04.
04. He and I had a bet, and we had a bet. He took the Patriots. I took Carolina.
Okay.
The loser had to strip down to their underwear in a thong and dance on stage at this big Saturday night nightclub that we had in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Of course, I lost, and I got on stage. I had a robe on. They played some music, big build up. Flying Brian's on stage, and then he's like, all right, SBK's going to do his dance. And they played the music. I took my robe off. I'm in there with a little skimpy thong on, nuts hanging out the side of the thing.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. And I'm sitting there, and then I get on stage. I start dancing, and then, boom, I pop wood, so to speak.
You did?
Yeah, and I was at the front of the stage, and this chick grabbed my dick. And when I say grabbed it, like she was trying to pull herself up on stage. And then things got kind of crazy. But that's like the craziest thing I ever did. It was the wrong one to grab your dick. She was not the one. Now, I didn't say they were all 10s, but that's, you can only live that kind of lifestyle so long. These hip-hop clubs doing parties every night. I don't see how it's a young man's game. I don't see how these cats do it.
Were there any fans that would go to these events, sort of like Prize Pigs, where you go, oh, my God, Johnny's here again, Jesus Christ?
It's radio, man.
Of course.
There's Prize Pigs at every station.
Yeah.
I've seen it where, like in Orlando, there's a network of them. And they get together, on their own and have, like, barbecues.
Are you serious?
They hook up, and then you'll say, hey, man, who's your favorite person on the station? They'll be like, oh, that one guy. And I say, what's the favorite song we play? And they'll name a song, and I'm like, we're all talk, buddy.
That's how it is when I worked for Rover. They had this thing called the RMG crew, and it's like a group of like 40 people that worship Rover, and they like turn their back on me, and now they talk smack to me online, but they have these forums and Reddit discussions about my life. Like, it's amazing, dude, how much us talking into the mic makes people's day, or it influences them so much.
Man, don't read any of that shit, man.
I don't.
It'll drive you crazy because people, like you say, you just told me that people said I got fired from the Monsters. I didn't even know about it.
That's what I thought it was.
So look, if you don't read it, you don't know about it, it doesn't exist. People don't think what they want to think anyway.
Yeah. So you were at 105.5 The Beat. How did you go from there to Real Radio?
I get a call from the guy, Chris Campmeyer. Same guy told me he'd never pay me. And he says, hey, we got a new midday show. Okay, remember when Howard got canned from Clear Channel?
Was that because of Janet Jackson's nipple?
Well, whatever happened to make Howard get canned from everything, right?
Yeah.
That means everybody got a bump up. So the Monsters in the Midday went to the Monsters in the Morning.
Cool.
All right?
Yeah.
Then they had a midday show opening. Shannon Burke took the midday show.
Okay.
All right. I guess I should throw this in there. Before I took the job at 105.5 The Beat and I was interning for the Monsters at Real Radio, I used to do call-ins to Shannon's show.
Okay.
His producer, Colin Brady, used to call me and be like, hey, man, we need a guy to pretend like this or whatever. And no one knew my voice on that station. So I would call in. It's not that I do voices, but I was a new, different voice. I would call in and I'd be like one time I called in as a black guy who ran a school.
Are you serious?
And people were just eating. And I was just like doing it all deadpan and all serious. So people thought it was a real school where I could teach a kid how to be white.
Try and do the voice in 2015.
I don't remember how I did it. But so I was just telling you that. But that's how I had a relationship with Burke.
Yeah.
So I got called from Fort Myers and they said, hey, man, I know you're killing it down there. But are you interested in getting back in talk radio?
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I only took the job in Fort Myers because it was a job.
Yeah.
But then I had a success. They said Shannon Burke's doing middays and he needs a co-host.
Okay.
And they said, why don't you come up and try it out for a couple of days? And it was all cool with my general manager. It was like above board. Everybody knew about it. So I went up there and I was on the air with Shannon for 3 days.
Okay.
And it was good. It was a hit. People were responding to it. And they asked me if I wanted to make the move from Fort Myers to Orlando. And I said yes. So I moved back, and Shannon and I did middays for 5 years, and we were number one the whole time. Well, we weren't number one until I got on the show.
Ooh.
But once I got on the show, number one, and we never turned back.
What's it like when you move from one town to another? Like, how hard is it to, like, break the lead and move everything? Is it hard?
I had the timing for me was good. I was coming up at the end of a lease.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with that. It's just, it wasn't like a strange city to me. And I was coming back at the same station I started, not as an intern, but as a co-host. So that was a good move. That was a real good move.
What was it like? Now, we will go more years into the future. What was it like when you got to host SBK Live at night on Real Radio?
Oh, man, we're jumping ahead. That was cool, man. That's the spot, that's the time slot that Drew had once had.
Yeah.
And then after Drew had it, then they gave it to another show called The Hideout. Then they had Lex and Terry doing a repeat there.
Yeah.
And then they did like the best of Real Radio. So there was like 3 things in between me and Drew having the same time slot on the same station. It was awesome, man. I had the highest ratings at nights that they had in 17 years. We were
Really?
number 1 in the old Arbitron book. We were number 1. We hit it right before it changed to PPM, the new way to measure it.
Yeah.
We hit number 1. And then we did really well, man. It was a good feeling.
What is your take on the whole ratings thing now with PPM?
It is what it is. You can't really change it. You just have to adjust to it. You have to adjust to the game changes, and you have to adjust to it, man.
What are some things that you have to adjust when it comes to the new PPM thing for the last 10 years?
Well, the whole big thing, the buzzword is setting appointments.
Okay.
Letting people know what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and then actually doing it. It's hard to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to get sidetracked in radio, and something feels like this, something feels like that, but you got to do what you say you're going to do, basically.
So would you say like, okay, this bit's going to be at 7:25, 7:40? Is that what you mean by like?
Well, yeah, like at 7:30, we're going to interview Ryan Hoppe from the Hoppe Hour, right?
Yeah.
Now at 7:30, I better hear you interviewing Ryan Hoppe.
Yeah, not 7:34.
Not 7:30. What? That's a whole different. No, man, you ripped me off. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, hey, I'm going to make a promise to you that I'm going to give you Ryan Hoppe at 7:30, and you want them to listen to the commercials, and they come back. I mean, that's the key, is just holding them over.
Has that ever happened where you had this guest and you're so pumped, and then the guy calls like 7 minutes late? Did you get in trouble?
Fine. That's fine. You just need to remind the audience.
Yeah, you need to kind of like reset it.
You got to reset it. You got to look at the audience like, you got to, I don't know, man. The audience comes first. Like, a lot of times being in radio, you're on the mic and you think it's all about you, but it's really about what are you doing for the audience.
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of people forget that we are here to entertain the audience.
I said that last night in my Periscope, like, radio is all about entertaining the audience, because if it's not for them, it's just us talking into a mic by ourselves. So what are some of the best ways to entertain the audience? Like, what are some of the go-to keys?
Oh, well, I mean, my thing is, it's just, look, pretty much everybody goes to Google and they find stories.
Yeah.
So we're not employed by Google.
Yeah.
Like Google, man, they get free advertisement. They get free everything. We just go to Google. We find a bunch of stories. I think people want a mix of what your take is on current issues they talk about, and then they want to hear some personal stuff too. Some stuff that you can't find on Google.
What are some of the things that you bring to the air when it comes to like your personal life? I
think I have different takes on things than other people.
I can tell, yeah.
Most of my friends, just general conversation whenever I'm talking to people, sometimes I tend to see things differently than my peer group, which I think that makes me a unique person as far as my personality. I walk to my own path. I don't really I don't have a lot of friends, as far as I don't hang out with a bunch of people. I kind of keep to myself.
Really?
I'm not like the life of the party. You're not going to see me at the bar swinging from the chandelier. I'm more observant. I think you get better at talking by being better at listening.
So would you say you're a guy that likes to people watch?
I love to people watch, and I love to listen to people too, and I steal stories from people.
Yeah.
I'll, like if you and I went somewhere, we're hanging out, I'll be like, hey, man, look at this dude. Like, okay, and you like overhear some crazy conversations.
Yeah.
I might take that conversation and bring it to the radio.
Yeah.
But the key is you don't necessarily have to expose that person. You don't necessarily have to put other people's business out there, but you can still put the story out without exposing.
Yeah.
Like if I saw you and your girlfriend arguing downtown,
okay,
all I got to do is say, man, I saw this dude arguing with his girl. I don't have to say it was you.
So you bring things to the air without being a guy that has to exploit people for
I don't
ratings.
think you need to talk shit about people or get personal about people to be entertaining.
That's when I think your show needs a lot of help, is when you rely on exploitation and making fun of someone with their name. Agree?
I think that's lame. I think it's lame to use the radio to attack people. Like you and I can get on the radio and we can shut down a business.
There's no reason to, because it's just mean. It's just, you would never say it to their face. You're hiding behind a mic.
Right.
Why do it?
It's all about keeping your ego in check too, man, and realizing it ain't all about you all the time.
Would you say you sort of have an ego or not really?
I do. I like to do a good job at what I do.
Everyone does.
But I don't need you to constantly stroke my ego to tell me I'm good, I'm cool, I'm the man. I'm not really. Okay, that's cool.
What's it like, since you don't really have an ego, but what's it like for you when you go from having your own night show to then doing a podcast to then being the co-host of the midday show here, and now you're one of the co-hosts of Drew Garabo Live? With all these different shifts that you've done, what is the key that you do to make it work?
The key is that you just got to keep on pushing forward.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be over not having SBK Live.
Okay.
Like, I could go on and I have gone on and done bigger shows, but SBK Live was like my baby.
That's what I was going to say.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've done midday shows. I'm on an afternoon show. I've done a morning show. I quit a number one morning show. I quit the Monsters. They were number one.
What was your reasoning for quitting?
Wasn't me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened. When my show, when they decided to move me from nights to mornings, they tried to sell it to me like, hey, more people are going to hear you than ever.
Okay. Oh, man.
They told me, they sold it like that. They came back and told me, hey, well, look, at least you don't have to work as hard anymore.
That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
It is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. You don't have to work as hard anymore. Okay, that's cool.
Because then you're losing passion for radio.
Well, they think your passion's for sale. They think they can feed your passion with more appearances or a bigger stage or whatever, when I would have been happy just doing my little show by myself. Yeah. But the thing was, at the end of the day, when I walked out of the studio at 11 o'clock, I get there at like 5, show would start at 6.
Yeah.
I'd leave right at 11:30 when the show was over. I didn't feel good. That walk to the car, when I'm like, all right, that's another day, I didn't feel good about what I'd just done.
Really?
No, I did not. I didn't feel like I was a part of the team. They were like, we're number one. But I didn't feel like I was number one. I did not feel like if I were asking you to hear SBK, I didn't feel like you were hearing the best version of SBK.
I could sort of tell that because I would hear your night show via podcast in Chicago, and then I would hear you on the morning show.
It was different.
It just seemed like they were using you like, oh, what's SBK's take now? Give us 20 seconds.
Exactly. That's how I felt. See, look, you're in Chicago. You felt the same way. That's how I felt. And I was like, I cannot do this long term. I had to find a way to get out.
Were you beginning to like burn out?
I was already burned out.
Yeah.
I was done.
And was it because maybe you had to get up in the morning? That was another thing that was just, you put it in the mix?
Even if everything up at 4 o'clock is not good.
Yeah.
Like, that was just all fucked up, dude. Like, you never get used to it.
Oh, man. When I worked for Rover, I mean, I loved every second of that job, so it was fine getting up. But it just sucked when your friends would want to hang out, and you're like, I have to go to bed.
You
or
can't
you have
hang
to
out.
miss a game. Like,
Are you going to be a zombie?
And it's not like you're working at like Publix or something, like nothing against them, but like at least that job you can sort of go through the routine. But the mic is live,
right,
and the whole city's listening to you.
You got to be
on.
And
you can't be babbling, and you're tired. Like, you need to be on your A game.
Right.
And coffee can only do so much, or then you get jittery and then moronic.
Here's the deal. I didn't love it that much.
Yeah.
Like you said, oh, man, I love getting up at 4 o'clock. I didn't love it. I don't give a damn. It felt like somebody was stabbing me in the chest every morning when I woke up.
Yeah, it's just when you hear that alarm and you're like, "Oh my God!"
I don't care if I ever do mornings again. Like, if you would have say right now, SBK, we're gonna make your show the morning show.
Yeah,
I would say no.
What if the paycheck was right,
man?
What if it was a really good paycheck?
I don't care. It would have to be really good. I was the Walking Dead, man. I was always tired at every point in the day. Look, I used to go, I'd get off work, I'd go home, I'd take a shower, and then I'd take a nap or whatever. If I walked to my bathroom and you said it was 1 o'clock, I couldn't tell if it was 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. It all felt the same. It all felt like it was time to go to sleep all the time.
Napping sucks because you feel like you're losing the day, but you have to nap because you're so damn tired.
But you're taking a nap at 1 p.m. from 1 to 3, and then my girl would come home and we'd eat dinner, and then I was nodding at like 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
The life sucked. If I could have only imagined if I had a kid.
But that's what makes the weekend so much more fun is you get to sleep in and then go out with your friends at night.
It throws your schedule. I kept the same schedule on the weekend.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got up at 5. I get up at like 6 o'clock.
Oh, I'd be going to bed at 5. That's awesome.
But you're a young man though. See,
damn right I am.
Once you get old, then you don't want to do all that shit.
I'm going to be the fun old guy where I go hard every night. Trust me, I'm not going to let age define me.
And then you're going to fall the fuck down. And that's going to be a long fall for you, too.
Now, let's move on to everything at 102.5 The Bone. How are you approached about being the co-host of Shannon and the Soul Brother?
So Shannon and I had a big falling out.
Okay.
And there's plenty of tape, plenty of hours of tape, actually, of me saying I'd never work with him again and screw that guy. And then all of a sudden, I got out of radio, and I had left the Monsters. I was sitting at home one day, and I got a text from Shannon. And Shannon was like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I was like, "Nothing much." He's like, "What are you doing now? Are you looking for another radio job?" And I was like, "Nope." And he said, "Well, why don't you?" He was like, "Well, let's talk. Come over, check out my new studio or whatever." And it was like right down the street from my house.
Oh, nice.
So I went by, I checked out his studio, and then we had a long talk, like 3-hour talk.
Okay.
And we kind of like started like working out all our issues.
Yeah.
We laid it all out on the table. We kind of let it go. Meeting ended with us with a big hug, and I just kind of said, "All right, let me see what's up." And he said, "Hey, why don't you come sit in on my show tomorrow?"
What's that like when you hear that from him?
It was cool. It was weird. I was kind of worried. At first, I was worried about what people were going to think as far as, because I vowed I'd never work with him again. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, man, I'm going to sound like a big hypocrite. But then, let's just say, after we sat down and worked it all out, I'm on in Tampa. I start getting a good reception from the people in Tampa, and I'm just like, this feels better than my situation I was just in. It felt good to be on in a new market and getting like response from people who've never heard you before.
What are the listeners like between Tampa and Orlando? How would you describe each fan base? Are they different or similar?
The people in Tampa seem like how the Orlando fans were in the beginning.
Okay.
Before they got burned out on radio in general. Like Tampa seems like they're still embracing. It's the ramp is still going up as far as people getting into talk radio and understanding, we have talk radio that goes all day. They'll just stop at 10 o'clock or whatever. It goes all day and it's nothing but talk.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a bigger city. It's a different vibe. The people right now, they're in Tampa, like into it. They're intense.
Oh, yeah.
They'll call you out on your shit, too.
What is your take on social media since the fans are so diehard down here? Mm-hmm. Is there times you block people? Because there's times it just gets in your mentions so much. You're like, I don't want to see this. And then you go, you would never say that to my face.
Yeah.
So then you block them.
I usually block people when they start getting on some personal shit.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't really care. If you don't think if you don't think I sound good on the show, I'm not going to block you because you say I suck. I'll engage you, but everybody's human and everybody has their limits. Like some days you don't want to hear any bullshit. You know what I mean? You're like, well, it's my timeline. I can control it how I want to. But I'll block people if they get like. Usually people, when they start on some race shit with me, that's when I'll block them because I'm like, okay, now you're just out of bounds, dude.
What do you mean by race? Do you mean like where they call you words or they just say dumb, ignorant things?
Both. Like if you and I are talking about if you and I are talking about the game yesterday, the Bucks and the Titans,
yes,
I don't see how that should go to race.
What the hell?
But people can take stuff there. You know, people will say fucked up things or try to slide in little slick remarks like they don't think you're going to catch what they're saying. And once it goes to some personal shit, man, I'm out. I don't really have time for that shit.
And they always have the same type of pick. I'm not saying they have the Confederate flag, but they have like facial hair. They look like they're not happy. It's never a well-dressed guy who's white collar. It's usually some blue collar guy, and I'm not ripping on them, but it's some dude who just looks like he's so unhappy with his life, and he has some anonymous name from some fan club. It's never a dude with his full name and where he lives.
I'm going to tell you like this. Most of the anonymous people that come on and you look at their account and they're following like 10 people and they're all radio people.
Yeah.
And they have one follower and it's somebody you've never heard of.
Or it's like a fake account.
When I say fake account, I believe it's somebody you know.
What do you mean?
I believe it's somebody that you know personally that's trolling you. When you're like all of your comments are going one way, then all of a sudden you get this one fucked up comment out of left field.
Yeah.
And it's about some weird, got a weird picture or got an egg or got something. Yeah. I believe that person knows you. I believe you know who that person is. They're just doing an anonymous account.
Yeah, there's this one called Frankenhoppy, and I'm trying to figure out who does it because at times it's a little mean.
It's somebody you know. It's somebody who works in this building, man.
You think so?
I know so. I don't know it, but I'm just saying, yeah. Why else? Why would they have to hide? It's probably somebody that walks up to you every day. They're cool with you, shake your hand, but then they go home and they fucking troll you like. And then they may come back and say, "Hoppe, you're awesome. Log on, Hoppe, you suck." Yeah, that's how they do it.
Or it might be one of the guys who will send tweets to me and says, "Oh, you're great, this and that."
That's what I'm saying.
And then logs off and goes, "Hoppe, you look like sloth. You're a loser." And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Or it could be somebody that's one of your biggest fans, and they're just fucking with you.
At the end of the day, we have to remember that this is a fake thing. The internet's real, but the social part of it isn't.
You don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, and they would never wear a Frankenhoppy outfit, or they would never say those words to you in public for the most part.
Exactly. They would walk up to you and see you and ask you for a picture.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they would do.
When I worked for Rover, I never once had someone say, "You're a piece of dirt," or "You're this or that." But
not to
everything
your face.
comes online because they're hiding behind the keyboard like pussies. But in person, "Dude, can I get a selfie? Dude, you're funny on Rover. Dude, can I get you a drink?" But online.
But sometimes that's the opposite. Sometimes they don't think you're funny. They're just nervous.
And they want to get a pic.
Yeah, they don't care. People are pussies, man, and they're quick to back down.
So now, have you talked to Shannon Burke since it's happened?
Yeah.
How are things between you and him?
We're cool. I was on his show on Labor Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was on the show for a half hour because the show's not far from my house, so I had to pass his studio.
Yeah.
I was just out and about, and I hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, are you at your studio?" He's like, "Yeah," and I just walked in and just sat down and we did 30 minutes.
That's cool. I'm glad that you guys don't have a bridge burned and that you guys are getting along.
Why would we have a bridge? We did that already.
That's a good point.
Yeah, what we burned the bridge about last time was bullshit, and we had a great experience on the bone. Hey, the show didn't work out, but that didn't mean it didn't work out between me and him.
That's good. I'm glad you guys are getting along. So
people love that show. I thought we did a good job.
I liked what you brought to the show too. I thought the show was great. I think everything on 102.5 The Bone is great because there's not much hot talk radio left.
That's right.
So it's very unique, and that's what I love about working
here.
Small
club.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's all in Florida, too.
That's true. You got any other hot, stimulating questions there?
Oh, yeah. How has everything been with Drew Garabo Live since you joined about 6 weeks ago?
Everything's been great, man. It's been 6 weeks? Wow.
I'm just kind of guessing.
That's about right. Drew has been great. Seth has been great. Gio, Kayla when she was here. Everybody's welcomed me. It's a totally different vibe than real radio.
In what way?
People here seem to be more genuine.
I noticed that. I like working for Cox Media. It's sort of like a big family. There's no competition.
Right.
Everyone's nice to each other.
Here, it just seems to be there's more support.
Yes.
People seem to be genuine when they say, "Hey, do you need anything? I can help you out."
Yeah.
People, real radio just was such everybody's been there for so long, it was like separate entities. Like this show was its own deal, this show was its own deal. There wasn't a lot of crossover. Like there's crossover here. You hear other personalities on other people's shows, and it's all fun and it's all cool. But over there, it's just kind of like all awkward.
So are you saying that like the afternoon show would never intervene or talk with the morning show?
Not really.
I could see that.
Not really. I mean, unless something really is happening or whatever. But, I mean, Real Radio is a very successful station, and most of the show's been number one forever, and everybody's like on their own island.
Yeah.
You know, so I haven't talked to any of those guys since I left there.
Are you serious?
No.
Even with everything going on with your health?
Angel, because we do our podcast together. Angel was my co-host on SBK Live, and then he went and joined the Monsters shortly after I joined the Monsters. And that was a weird dynamic. But everybody else on the Monsters, Russ, I hadn't heard a peep from Russ. Dirty Jim, I haven't really heard from him. I bumped into him a couple of times because we live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Tom and Dan, I'm cool with those guys.
You're wearing
still.
their
I'm
shirt
wearing
right
their
now.
shirt. Yeah. I've been on their show a couple times. Anybody else from Real Radio? Maybe a tweet here or there.
What about the News Junkie?
News Junkie sent me a donation to my kidney fund.
That's cool.
Kidneyforkevin.com. But other than that, no one's like called me or reached out to me to see how I was doing.
You said this on your podcast a few months ago, but how has your health been? Because you said ever since you joined the Bone, it's not that you get sick of people bringing it up, but everyone says, how's your health? How's your health?
That's just as shitty as it's been since the beginning. It's just
sorry to hear that.
No, I mean, it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gotten any worse either.
That's positive.
That is positive. So I'm in a holding pattern. So all of that stuff is it's coming along, it's progressing, but it's like hurry up and wait. It's not a short. It's a long process. So sometimes I don't even think about it, to be honest with you.
You can't, because you have to just go through each day and get ready for Drew Garabo Live. You
Right.
can't let it bring you down.
I can't. You're right about that. That's what I do. I just try to focus on the day and what's going on. I deal with what I have to deal with. Or what you don't see is that I have my fair share of doctor's appointments. Like, I go to a lot of doctor's appointments before I'm on the air.
Really?
So I'm getting up at 7, 8 in the morning doing doctor's appointments in Orlando, and then I'll come here.
How long are your days? Because you have to drive like 2 hours from Orlando to Tampa?
Yeah, so I'm giving up 4 hours in the car. So I leave around, this morning I was late. I was late for Hoppe Hour, man. What was going on?
I wasn't mad.
But it was all right. What were you going to do if I didn't show up? Just like go home or what?
Yeah, I go home and work out because I have work at 5. I'm delivering pizza, so I would have just like worked out.
You work out? What do you do? You doing some Tae-Bo? What are you doing? Prancercise? You prancing? What are you doing?
Well, I have to begin doing like the treadmill or something because I don't really do much cardio. I have very slight love handles, but my upper body's good. I mean, I do legs, biceps, triceps, push-ups. I mean, I would say I'm in good shape compared to a lot of people, but when you go through the gym, I feel so fat, even though I'm not, just because these dudes are flexing in the mirror and they're
but you're tall. How tall are you?
6'8".
6'8". Oh, man. I wish I was 6'8".
I wish I could give you my height because the amount of times I hear from fans, do you play basketball? It's like, no.
You should say yes.
Well, you can tell if a person's lying. God did not bless me with coordination, Kevin. That was one of the things.
Right.
When I was born, he's like, Ryan will not be good at sports.
You'll be tall, but you'll be
very awkward and lanky.
Like a baby deer trying to walk.
Yes, I mean, it gets old.
And you
kind of
hop when you walk. You got to kind of like a hippity-hoppity scoot along.
It's because I have a back thing with my scoliosis in my back.
Oh,
I
man.
had surgery 6 years ago, but we couldn't afford to get the complete physical therapy.
So now the rod in my back is bent, and my one leg is longer than my other leg by like a half a centimeter. So I have all that going on for me, you know?
So my whole life is just a
You
mess.
should just put that on your Twitter bio. Ryan Hoppe, I host Hoppe Hour. I have an 18-inch rod.
Get some poon tonight.
Well, I don't know if you go get anything with that, but it'll get you some responses, maybe some followers.
Hell yeah. And now, before we let you go, because I want to let you get ready for the afternoon show.
Yeah.
How can people help you with your health online?
Well, like I said, I have a GoFundMe,
Yeah.
kidneyforkevin.com, and that's kidney, F-O-R, Kevin.com.
Yeah.
I put updates to let everybody know what's going on as far as what stage I'm at in the kidney transplant process, and you can leave me a message. You can leave a donation.
Yeah.
You can leave a message without a donation. You can leave a donation without a message. Let's see how that works. And that's it, man. I'm just I put out. You can follow me on Twitter at The Soul Brother. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, and I put out updates as things are happening.
And where can people hear you on the radio and hear your podcast on the side?
Oh, you can hear me every day from 2 to 6 on 102.5 The Bone, theboneonline.com.
Yeah.
I'm on Drew Garabo Live, and you can hear the podcast at sbklive.fm.
Well, Soul Brother Kevin, thank you for coming on Happy Hour. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to go eat my lunch.
All right, sounds good. Peace out.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.
I'd like a $9,000 prostitute, please. Oh, do you have 9 $1,000 ones? Yeah, good. And if you got an albino, send her up too. And 20 minutes, I'm going to be asleep, so get them up here. I had like half a bottle of melatonin, 6 beers, this whole bucket of chicken. Oh, the Sandman is coming.